Good morning. This is Jason Moss and Georgia Manufacturing Alliance Manufacturing News Network. It is August the 7th. I cannot believe we're this far in the year. I mean, it's been a wild 2020 to get to here. And I want to, again, welcome everybody to this call. Today is our Gwinnett-based networking early morning coffee and donuts kind of gathering. I hope you've had all the donuts that you need. I got almost all the coffee I need, but there's another pot in there that I'll be rolling up shortly. But yeah, Roger. All right. So the focus of these meetings are typically to be able to help manufacturers and service in the service community be able to get together and network with each other, and just kind of our goal is to share best practices and be able to continue to build your Rolodex. You know, find out who's who in the zoo. You know, who do we have at GMA that's participating in these calls, that's involved in the organization, and how can you be a good referral source for them? Now, GMA has never been known to be a quote leads group. That's not our focus. Our focus at GMA is to help support and grow manufacturing across the state of Georgia. We're fully committed to make sure that happens. We love the non-manufacturing community as much as we love the manufacturers, but we got to stay on point, stay on our focus. How can we help manufacturers? Part of the reason that we put this networking component together is most manufacturers, many manufacturers really have not engaged in networking like the service community has. I mean, you know, business to business service folks, we understand the power of networking and the power of building that Rolodex. Manufacturers understand the power of it when they need something, right? So we always welcome manufacturers to the table. That's a big deal. But typically these groups are a lot more service based. To qualify to be on this call, to be part of this organization, you do have to be a company that primarily calls on manufacturing. A lot of folks don't know, but if you apply to be a member of GMA, you got to give us 5 manufacturing referral customers that you're currently dealing with before we accept your membership. You know, and what that's done is that's kind of slowed the membership growth a little bit, but it's really helped develop a qualified group of folks that understand the needs that manufacturers have. And that's a big piece. You know, that's something that we need to get done. So to give you the format of the day, this is sort of how we're going to do. We're going to have an opportunity to go around the room. We'll have everybody to introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about yourself. We've got a good intimate group here, so we're going to be able to take just a minute or two, not 5 minutes, but a minute or two to tell who you are and what's going on in your space, and then we'll circle back around and kind of do a little bit of Q&A. So we got some cool stuff that we're going to go over today. We've got a couple things that we're going to share as far as best practices, so that's sort of the game plan. I do want to let you know that GMA, we are just make sure everybody kind of understands how this works. As GMA is a for-profit industry association. We don't have one penny of tax dollars in what we do. We're fully supported by members and sponsors, and you know that keeps us away from having to get involved in the political lobbying side of the house. That keeps this really clean. Our goal, again, is to make sure that we provide this platform, and there are no hidden agendas and no political games we have to play. This is about supporting the community. Now, that being said, I wanted to do a special welcome to Mr. Paul Atkinson. He's one of our top supporters. We've got Raymer Sales also is online as a key supporter sponsor of GMA. Without their support, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So the great thing about having these guys on board with us is they can give us some insights and share what's going on in their space. And so I'm gonna open it up with you, Paul. Tell us, if you would, just kind of open it up. Tell us who you are, company, what it is that you do, and what's the most fascinating thing that you have seen or experienced in this COVID pandemic. Share with us a little bit.
Wow, you're not giving me much time to think about that one, but let's see if
You're
I
on
can
the spot.
think about it as I'm talking, I guess. But no, Paul Atkinson, Smith & Howard, we're a full-service accounting firm. Our single office used to be just down in Midtown Atlanta in Atlantic Station, but now we have 130 offices across the Metro Atlanta area with everyone or most of everyone working from home. But we do specialize in working with manufacturers and distributors, as well as other companies across different industries across the Metro Atlanta area. But we do a good number of manufacturers, as Jason mentioned. But some of the most interesting things, this is all the different approaches that people are taking to the PPP, and I'm sure Debbie has spoken on that, in prior meetings, and just the different variety of the interpretation and just how as everyone's dealing with that, from the SBA to the banks and everyone in between. It's been a crazy time, as most people have known. So good seeing everyone, and look forward to talking with you here this morning.
Awesome. Great kickoff, Paul. Thanks so much. All right. Mr. Ray Marcel, looks like you're kind of there, but you camera free. You might be working on your hairdo today, I guess. There he is.
Driving to an appointment this morning. So thanks, Jason, for allowing me to be on here. I am with E2E Resources, E2E Benefit Services. We sell and service employee benefits programs, insurance, group insurance, dental vision, those sorts of things, and provide HR services. The most bizarre thing that I've seen so far is all of the relaxation of the rules and regulations, both in the insurance industry and at government level, to help employers work their way through this wonderful gift that we were given early in the year from our Chinese counterparts. No political comments involved.
I love it.
But they've done everything from waiving copays to extending. The government even allowed people going on COBRA an extra period of time to file their forms and still be on there. And I'm thinking, okay, world's coming to an end now. But it's just watching people work their way through this COVID-19 thing. It's just been incredible. And the other thing that has affected me most in this entire scenario is I'm a people person. I am a guy that gets in there and socializes and has a good time. Mm-hmm. You may as well have sentenced me to solitary confinement. This has been miserable, but we're working our way through it. That's right. It. Have a great one.
I love it. Appreciate that, Raymond. Glad to have you on the line with us.
Sure.
All right. One of the other pieces that we are able to do is, typically we do meet live. Some of you guys are brand new to this, but typically we meet live at the Synovus branch in Swanee, and we've got Debbie on the line with us. And I'd like to, Debbie, if you can chime in, I'd love to have you kind of join us and tell us a little bit about yourself and what's going on in your world.
Good morning, everybody. As Jason said, my name is Debbie Kalick, and I'm a business banker with Synovus Bank. And we hosted this particular Friday morning coffee group for many, many years, and we look forward to hopefully resuming that and creating back to some sort of new normalcy as we work through this pandemic. My primary role is to provide solutions to business owners from a depository standpoint and lending support standpoint, including treasury management, merchant services, loans, lines of credits, checking accounts, all those lovely, exciting bank products that banks offer. But more than anything else, at Synovus, we get the opportunity to really be a part of the business and it be very relationship based, not transaction based. Mm-hmm. We're doing loans. We won't do the loan unless we're getting that full relationship. Again, we don't want to just provide one solution. It's looking at the whole picture and creating a plan that makes the most sense just for you. So I love what I do. I've been in banking my whole career. And I love my Friday mornings with GMA. So glad to be here.
What's the most fascinating piece that you've seen through this whole experience?
I was thinking about that in the 2-minute heads up. And I think for me, it's been fascinating to see how passionate business owners are about protecting their employees, mm-hmm. And really maximizing PPP, Main Street lending, any of those government programs. There's the exception to the rule where it was every man for itself. But for the most part, as I meet with folks, their number one priority is keeping their people employed. And for that, I can get behind that 100% because that's going to be the lifeblood, and where we try to, stop the bleeding, so to speak, from an economy standpoint. So it's, again, just refreshing to see people doing without for themselves to make sure their people are paid.
Yeah, that's cool, Debbie. I appreciate that perspective. Give you guys a little bit of inside track. When when I first got involved in business, like many of you have got some really good advice. They said, get a great lawyer, a great accounting partner, and a great banker. You know, in business, if you don't have those three things, you know, that's foundational. Those are cornerstones to build on. And, you know, with Smith and Howard and having Debbie online with Synovus, that was one of the big things that made a big difference in GMA's, you know, space we went through. And I've been very public about what we went through and kind of how the pieces fit together. But Synovus, having that long-term relationship, they were actually member number 2 when I founded this organization back in 2008. So we go way back, you know, and the relationships, you know, sometimes the faces change, but the partnerships of corporate, you know, the corporate culture has maintained the same. It's about doing the right thing and building those good relationships. And Debbie and her team, I mean, man, these guys got right on it, walked right through it. It was as smooth as it could be. Anything that you're having to connect with the government at all, but they did a great job with it, and I appreciate the support and help through all of that. So Debbie, Synovus, and your team, like I said, knock it out of the park. And
Thank you.
It's great to have partners like that and friends like that, and that's part of what we're able to do here is it's not just transactional. That's not, you know, folks that come to GMA that are focused on just a transactional conversation or digging for leads. They don't stay here long, you know, but if you're about building good, solid relationships where people can depend on you and you can depend on them, that's why we exist. And that's the levels of partnerships that we have. That being said, one of the other things that's really, really helpful for us to be able to continue to grow and do what we do is having, you know, feet on the street. Our team leaders, Henry Levine has been a longtime supporter and a good friend. And Henry is our chapter director for Gwinnett. And Henry, go ahead, take it away. Tell us what's going on in your world, man.
You know, it's very interesting. By the way, I'm Henry Levine, and besides being the chapter director, I work in the retirement planning solutions space for business owners, executives, and professionals. And if you'll note on the chat, I said putting money on guardrails. You know, 10,000 folks are retiring every day, and you know, many folks haven't thought about how they're gonna live. So that's some of the things I'm trying to work with business owners and help their employees look at ways to retire comfortably. Yeah, you know, I think with all this stuff going on, you know, the smaller guys have obviously the most problems. And what you think about in the manufacturing sector, what's so cool about the manufacturing sector is, as it's been said already, is manufacturing being a process. Folks have put in place the temperature checking, the mask when they're needed. They've made the cafeterias such that people aren't on top of each other. You know, so they've done the things that make a lot of sense. And for the most part, I think they've been operating okay if they have business.
Right.
So the keys to that is looking at the industries that they're going to be there no matter what.
Yeah.
Supporting the construction industry, supporting the food businesses, supporting defense, all those kinds of things. And of course, the automotive world, you know, there's all kinds of things going on there. So there's a number of places where business is okay, could be better, but I think that's running okay. And I think in general in the manufacturing sector, folks are positive. You know, they're looking at just getting through this thing. We're in a tunnel, and sooner or later we'll get out of it.
Yeah, and I think we got to keep that as a focus. You know, I mean, we got to know that we're going to be able to, you know, there is another side to this eventually. You know, I thought we were going to be done in June, man. I was golden. We were like skating through this. That was my game plan, but apparently that's not. The rest of the universe didn't quite align with that. They didn't get my memo, but there's still hope. Well, Henry, thank you so much, man. Again, appreciate your support and help keeping this chapter cranking and growing and all the other ads that you bring to the table. All right, Mr. Todd McCarty, how's it going, brother? Talk to us, man.
Jason. It's going good, Jason. How's it going with you, man?
Doing good.
You're getting better for you, I hope.
Yeah.
So hey, I'm Jason, I want to add, you said you got to have a good banker, a good good finance people. I'm biased, but I'm a believer you have to have a good marketer. right? So, a lot of the clients I work with, they're struggling to grow. And so, so I'm a marketing consultant, and I help, people really, if they're struggling to grow and confused about where to start with marketing, or frustrated that they have a site that doesn't drive revenue and maybe acts as more of a business card, I help you figure out how to transform your marketing expenses into revenue. Yeah. And I do that, as you know, Jason, by focusing on something called conversion rate optimization, which sounds really fancy, but all it means is if you get 100 people that come to your site and one person calls you, you got a 1% conversion rate. And so I help people make sure that the foundation of their marketing, which a lot of times is their website, is set up to convert people that come to it into leads. Because let's face it, if people don't call you when they come to your site, what's the point? Right. So that's what I do. And I mean, in terms of what I've seen in terms of changes, I've seen a lot of people adopting, new kind of digital ways of doing things, right? Like, I think it's amazing how, Paul talked about how now there's 130 offices, all over the Atlanta area, right? So I think it's amazing how everybody adapted to work from home. Companies went out and bought laptops and prepared, employees to do business from home. And so, I've seen a lot of change, from a digital perspective, and everybody's, trying to figure out how to do things in more of a digital way, because unfortunately the face-to-face world is different, today.
Yeah. So. And that's a great perspective, Todd. I think that if you take a step back and say, well, what would this have looked like 15 years ago? If we had the same deal 15, 20 years ago, before everybody had a laptop and a phone in their hand, man, talking about a train wreck. I mean, it's not like this has been a smooth ride for anybody, but sometimes you have to look really, really close for that silver lining in the darkest cloud. And sometimes it's pretty thin. And that's one of those things that's thin, but I am thankful that we've got the infrastructure and the people and the technology, and, because we wouldn't have been able to do this. I mean, heck, 5 years ago, I think, for the most part.
Yeah, just to add to that, I'm a Gwinnett County resident. I've got 2 kids. They're in high school in Gwinnett County, and, we're about to go back to school digitally, right? Whether it stays that way or not, I don't know. But, Gwinnett County is essentially asking all kids to be on Zoom calls from 7:30 in the morning until 2:30 in the afternoon, and I know I'm fortunate in that I've got pretty good bandwidth at my house. And so I'm hopeful that my network can support that. But unfortunately, I think there's a lot of people out there that don't have the network and the infrastructure to be able to keep up, and so that kind of, I guess you'd say, that bums me out, but we're going to try and get through this school year the best we can.
Yeah. So. My wife is, again, spot on there. My wife is a kindergarten parapro. So basically she's a teacher's assistant in kindergarten in Barrow County. I call her a crayon stacker. She kicks me every time I say that. But anyway, but my favorite crayon stacker. Yeah, so they did the virtual learning at the end of the year, making the transition last year, and it was tough. But and they had planned to go back live this, starting next week, and they made the call yesterday that they're going to go completely virtual. The teachers are still going to go into the school to teach from the school, because there was some hiccups with that, but that's a pretty big shift. And what is it going to look like this generation coming through when you start off with kindergartners on Zoom, right? Again, that might be as effective as trying to get them to wear masks in the room. I don't know which one would be more entertaining to watch, but that's what we got to deal with. So everybody's having to make changes and learn through this as we go. So again, Todd, I really appreciate your support and engagement with GMA. I mean, you made some great insights onto our website. Without your leadership and engagement with GMA, we wouldn't be able to be where we're at through our company. So if you have not scheduled a time to sit down with Todd, I'd encourage you to pencil that in on your to-do list today.
Well, yeah. And hey, most people know it, but I offer a free assessment to get started. So if somebody needs help, sales leader, marketing leader, you want me to take a look at your site, I'll take a look at your site, give you some free advice, and tell you how to fine tune things, Jason. And I know I did that for you, and I'm willing to do that for anybody. Yeah. I don't mind giving away a couple hours of my time to try and help folks.
Yeah. Yeah. And it helps. It definitely, makes a marked difference for sure. Cool. Thanks, Todd. All right, Roger Grabman, brother, what's going on? He brought the donuts with us. Tell us what's shaking in your world, brother.
Well, a couple of big projects are keeping me really busy.
Yep.
I'm juggling 3 major balls right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good.
So tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Roger Grabman. I'm a registered professional engineer. My expertise is production machinery and related safety issues. I've got resources so I can handle a wide variety of projects. So right now I'm tapping into a structural guy, two electrical guys. I got approached this week. Somebody needs a concrete structural guy. I've got somebody for that. We'll be talking with them next week. It's a company that makes sewer cleaning equipment. Yeah, so if you think your drain getting plugged up is a problem, just imagine if it's a 48-inch drain.
And try that with the city of Atlanta. Oops.
Yeah. So anyways,
what's the most fascinating thing you've seen in this journey?
Well, I saw something yesterday. It was a company that monitors legal situations with employment.
Okay.
Here in Georgia, they have a new law just signed in the past week that limits liability of businesses for people claiming that the business has infected them with COVID.
Okay.
So it shifts the balance of proof from presumptive to, what do you want to call it, reverse presumptive.
Mm-hmm.
So that the plaintiff in this case has to prove rather than the defendant has to disprove.
Okay. Interesting. Yep. I heard that was going through. I didn't know. I think you sent me an email yesterday showing that it actually had gotten approved and passed. So that's great information. I'm glad to see that got done for sure. I think it's going to protect a lot of businesses these days.
It doesn't protect somebody from willful or negligence claims.
Right. Yeah.
But if, and this particular article from a law company has suggested wording for signs on your entrance.
Okay. Cool. Hold on a second. Good deal. Well, thank you, Roger. Appreciate that for sure. All right, our favorite fisherman, Mr. Rob, buddy, are you near a cove where you can chat?
Yeah, I can chat. Can y'all hear me okay? Or is
that sounds good.
Okay. Well, I'm Rob Crewer. I'm with CBRE. I do industrial real estate sales and leasing. Retail and office properties have been hit really hard. CBRE's second quarter transaction revenues were down 38% from what they were this time last year.
Right.
Industrial real estate has been faring pretty well, though. It's actually still a landlord's market. The amount of transactions that Amazon has been doing is
a little extra audio. Yeah.
Okay, get closer. Amazon has leased about 6.6 million square feet of warehouse space in Atlanta this year. That was over about seven transactions. So it's just kind of fascinating, despite all this, Amazon just has its foot on the gas. Talking to our offices in other markets, Amazon's accounting for, in some places, 50% of the total warehouse leasing activity out there right now.
Wow.
Which is kind of concerning in some ways. But I also wanted to share a resource I learned about recently. I'm a Clemson alumni, and I learned we've got an industrial assessment center. They partner with Georgia Tech here in Georgia. It's a service that can be provided to manufacturers for free, where grad students will go conduct an energy assessment of the manufacturing operations free of charge, and they just basically write a report and make suggestions on ways to cut energy costs.
Right.
There's certain qualifications as far as your size and energy bills and all that, but I just thought that's kind of a cool program.
Cool. I appreciate that. And again, so the most fascinating piece was seeing how much impact Amazon's got in the market today.
Yeah, I mean, industrial real estate absorption's still positive. The market's doing good, but it's kind of misleading because most of it's just Amazon doing
Right.
all these million square foot leases. I think, small companies are still a little slower. But it's not all bad. I toured a company around to look at properties earlier this week that they're bringing some nanotechnology for fibers over from Japan to make masks out of.
Okay.
They're competing for a government grant to start manufacturing these here in Georgia. And I think before they would have just, I guess they came up with this technology in Japan before they would have manufactured it over there. Because of all the supply chain disruptions, he said they want to manufacture it here. And obviously the U.S. wants it manufactured here as well, just because of all the disruptions. So, I mean, it's interesting. It's obviously not a good thing, but there still are opportunities out there.
Yeah. I think all of us in the supply chain are going to learn have learned some very valuable lessons, and there's still some to learn. So thanks so much, Rob. Appreciate that insight. All right, Miss Andrea, what's going on in your world, girl? Tell us what's shaking. Tell us who you are, what you do.
Well, good morning. I think I agree with Raymer in the fact that I really would like to see more people face to face. That's everybody's suffering with that. I mean, I've got a friend of mine whose mom went into the hospital. She's 90 and in the ER, and they wouldn't let him go in with her, so that's, there's a lot of people in that kind of situation. And I just really, my heart goes out to that kind of thing where we're kind of disconnected right now. And it's, I'm longing for the day when we can get back to face-to-face meetings. But I appreciate folks like Todd who are helping us to do things more digitally for sure. So, but I am the president of GTR Business Systems, and we have an office here in Lawrenceville. And so you all probably have seen all the Amazon trucks. I go down 316 past Sugarloaf. It's like Amazon truck city going across the highway there. You've probably seen it. So I know what you're saying, Rob, about Amazon. But we offer all kinds of business solutions, project management, time management. We do time and attendance. We do synchronized wall clocks for time management, all to help manufacturing. We will install buzzers in manufacturing to help your workflow and your staff to keep on time. Mm-hmm. We also have a lot of COVID-19 products, things like self-reporting and contact tracing, the temperature monitoring. We offer the black box solution where you can get at least 16 people at a time into the frame, so it's gathering that information for a large group of people. They don't have to stand in front of a device or an iPad or something to actually get that temperature. So we also have some risk management consulting opportunities, to help your manufacturing as far as, how to best mitigate those risks. I appreciate, I forget who was telling us about the law that was just passed, but that's great because there is a lot of risk out there. Yeah, Roger. So, and we also do access control. So we actually were just helping Aramark here recently. So they, here in Lawrenceville, they wanted to have all of their doors inside and outside with the wave technology so that nobody has to touch anything. So everybody's been working virtually, but they wanted to get people more back into the office, so we help them with that kind of access control. So we just really like trying to help customers do what they need to do and get back to work safely.
So what's the thing that has been most fascinating to you about this whole experience?
Yeah, I was trying to think about that. We also help a lot of healthcare because of our synchronized clock solution. And with that, it seems like, of course, healthcare, they've got a lot of the beds are all full. But you know, the thing that helps make them generate revenue is the elective surgeries, and of course a lot of that can't happen right now, you know.
Right.
So they're really struggling. I mean, you know, this current pandemic has really changed the face of everybody's business in
Yes.
just different ways.
Yeah,
So,
it is neat to see how people are responding and reacting to that for sure. Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much. All
Mhm.
right. All right, Mr. Chris, what's going on, buddy? Glad to have you on.
Hey,
the
good
call.
morning.
Morning.
Thanks. I appreciate it. It's nice to meet everybody, taking notes and kind of learning here. So I guess I'm on team Raymer and Andrea. I like the flexibility of working from home, and Zoom is cool and all, but when you're forced upon it, it kind of is not as fun. So I'm looking forward to getting out and meeting some people and getting back to what I like to do. But my name is Chris Henderson. I'm with Edge Business Systems. We are one of Atlanta's fastest growing providers of office technology solutions. So we're locally owned and operated, or independent dealer, and we focus to provide hardware and software solutions with a focus on customer experience. So again, you take anything that prints copies or scans, and the software that might work with that to either secure it, optimize your spend, that sort of thing. So again, probably some of the strangest things I've encountered is I would have never, kind of like Andrea, I would have never thought that I'd have an interest or increase for temperature scanning devices. So again, I guess to piggyback off of what Roger was talking about, companies are just trying to do things to minimize their risk, to be able to, you know, let their employees feel comfortable or safe coming in. And again, but unfortunately, we're in a litigious society, so there's that CYA aspect that people are having to do to get people comfortable to come back in the office. So I just never would have thought that would have been a thing in 2020, but here we are. So
Right. Good deal. Well, I appreciate that, Chris. Glad to have you online with us.
thank you. I'm glad to be here. I appreciate that.
Perfect. All right, Mr. Don, what's going on, brother? Glad to have you on the line with us.
Morning, everybody. Thanks for all you do, Jason, to keep us connected and keep moving at GMA. My name's Don Hepner. I'm founder, executive partner of Paladin Associates.
Perfect, thank you. Just bring this up to the front.
Hold on just a second.
I guess you'll listen to my presentation.
Sorry.
There you
go. I was getting some feedback there.
We got it.
As I said, I'm a founder, executive partner of Paladin Associates. We're a boutique management services company that focuses on helping our clients become more profitable, principally by helping them reduce costs of their purchased goods and services. So where Todd helps grow the top line, Paladin will help companies reduce their costs. You know, transportation, packaging, telecommunications, energy, all kinds of different spend categories where small and medium-sized businesses may not have all of the expertise to negotiate those deals in an optimal fashion. So we help get the supply base competitive. We don't beat up on suppliers. In fact, 75% of the time we don't change suppliers. We simply get their pricing competitive. I think what has fascinated me is how fast many businesses have pivoted, to use a common word these days, but have changed their business and business processes to deal with COVID. Some of my clients have actually changed their products fairly significantly to deal with COVID. So it's interesting. And the other thing is how some of you talked about it, is how technology has assisted in that, and especially since we're using video conferencing, how that has suddenly matured and become easy to use.
Right.
You know, we've tried using video conferencing for 20 years, maybe back in, my background is GE, and we tried it 30 years ago, and it was difficult to use.
Right.
It's half the meeting time getting everybody on board because you had to shut off cookies, and half the people didn't know what cookies were, and it's suddenly become easy. Consumers are using it to do cocktail parties. So it's really, I think that's one of the neat things that has happened, and it's going to change some business forever. It's really going to make an impact. I think businesses will be traveling less, not completely stopping, but even when it becomes safe, they'll be traveling less because this is so easy.
Right.
And it's much better than a conference call.
Yeah. And I agree that it's a lot better than a conference call. And I also agree that if kindergartners can do it to show off their coloring for the day, right? I mean, we're all gonna have to figure that out. If they can figure it out to show off coloring, we can figure it out to make it work through business. But I'm with Chris, Andrea, and Raymer. I'm jonesing for some live face-to-face time. I mean, I just, I feed off of that. And this is way better than just a call, but man, I'm ready to get back to live interactions and stuff. Cause that's the foundation of what we've been able to do, because you lose a lot not having that level of engagement, I think. But, all right. Thanks, Don. I appreciate that for sure. All right. Mr. Kirk Hedgewood, I'm glad to have you on the line with us. He's one of our newest members to GMA, and so we're gonna give you the platform, give you the floor, so you can introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about yourself and what we need to know.
Thank you. Excuse me. Well, thank you, Jason, and good morning, everybody. I am Kirk Hegwood. I'm president of Hegwood Electric. We do industrial automation and control systems for various manufacturers, whether it's processing plants, OEMs, water, wastewater. We've done quite a bit of it. This year is our 50th year anniversary. It was supposed to be a big celebratory year. Obviously, that sort of got clamped down a little bit.
Right.
But to be honest, we're blessed and fortunate. Great staff. Business slowed up a little bit, but we're still working our way through it and trying to earn a buck.
Right. So who is your, when you're talking to a company or having conversations about the things that you do, who typically is like the person in the company that you most often communicate with? Who do you engage with inside of the company?
Generally, we will engage with the engineering or production team.
Okay.
For machinery design purposes, along those lines. Depending on the size of the company, it might end up purchasing, which is always fun. It's sort of interesting because the larger the company, the more complex it can get. Some terms I've heard over the last number of years are LCC, low cost country. Can they have it done in Mexico cheaper than they can do here or wherever?
Right.
So it's been interesting the last number of years with the globalization and things that go on.
Very cool. So typically you engage with the engineering production team, that sort of thing. What problems do they usually bring to the table? What is it that they're trying to solve? What's the buzzwords? What do I need to be listening for somebody that's having issues? What are some of the things that you guys can bring to the table?
Quite often, if it's a smaller or medium-sized company, they may not have the internal staff to actually have a production shop for control panels or software programming. We can do pretty much turnkey.
Okay.
We stay away from the installation part. My staff is not that big. But we can, if you have a machine or a process and say, okay, I want to be able to push a button, let it start, we can go in and work with you, develop the scope of work for it, and put the equipment together, the programming to make all that work together. Generally, my customers, like I said, they just don't have the expertise to finish the project or keep it going. And most plants a lot of times don't want to be hiring a lot of staff to do that because it'll be up and down.
Right.
And being generally working with a number of different manufacturers can keep production flowing pretty well.
Okay. Okay, I got you. Well, that sounds cool. So if they're looking for automation controls, you can bring them that so that they can have that solution, but not have to have it in house, because that can be expensive to keep somebody on on board with expertise. Because I'm sure that technology changes pretty often in that space.
It does. I'm glad. I'm more managing it now than doing the engineering. I have the younger engineers. I go, oh yeah, we can do that. I say, okay, make it done.
Right. I got you. Very cool. Very cool. Well, we're really happy to have you on board with us, and I'm excited about being able to share what I love to do. We're on a side note for you. For the crew here, we're not quite open to be doing plant tours and stuff, but I'm gonna see if I can and twist Kurt's arm just a little bit so I can come by and do a one-off, and I'll report back to you and tell you what I find. But I've checked out, we've had some great conversations, and his website's really good. I'd encourage you to take a look at that. Again, just look up Edgewood on the member online member directory, and it links all of the information there. So again, Kurt, appreciate you being online with us and being part of today.
Thank you.
I did want to share with you a couple things that we're doing organizationally. One of the pieces that I want to make sure that we engage with as much as we can is sharing best practices. One of the pieces that, if you have not done this, I got a good friend that wrote and produced a movie called The American Made Movie. Not the one with Tom Cruise, but it's a documentary on American manufacturing, and it was produced right here in Gwinnett County. It's out of Gwinnett County, but it went all over the country and talked about the impact of manufacturing on our country. And he did that back in 2012, 2013, and it is a fantastic movie. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna archive this video, and we'll send a link to that for you. But Nathan McGill was sharing with me one of the things. He's a big podcaster, so he does Best of Gwinnett, and he does the Gwinnett podcast and does some really cool stuff. And we've been talking about, we've got a podcast, getting all that set up. We've got it launched finally. You can get it on Stitcher right now and 2 or 3 others, but it's not yet available on Apple. It should be available on Apple. Everything's been applied, but we'll probably get that within the next week and a half or 2 weeks. But one of the things that we're working to do is to be able to bring industry leaders in and do interviews and share best practices. Like everybody's talked about, we all as companies have had to pivot. We've had to find new ways to do things. Again, a foundational cornerstone for GMA is to be able to share best practices, share what's working. Let's talk about it. Tell us what's working, and if somebody can glean some knowledge from that and apply it in their space, man, that's magic for me, man. If we can make that connection, it's cool. So since we're not able to continue to do the live face-to-face stuff, we've been doing Zoom, but it's kind of, that is a platform to deliver. If you happen to be on the computer, even on the boat, Rob, fishing and enjoying your Zoom, but it does kind of constrain you to the tools that you have. Using podcasts. Who in here uses podcasts? Who listens to podcasts on there? Got any podcasters, folks? I was not a big podcaster myself. I mean, I didn't understand the technology or use it much, but I've been working with Scott Luton with Supply Chain Now Radio. We've had Today in Manufacturing for about 1.5 years now, and we've been publishing that, and that's gone really well. And we're stepping out on our own, and we're doing Manufacturing News Network, which is what we've been talking about for a while. But this call won't be on the podcast series, but when we do interviews and when we do member spotlights, those will be available for everybody to be able to plug into. So we've got a big announcement. We're going to be, so you guys are getting a little sneak peek on that, but we'll be doing a lot of social media promotions, announcing and launching the podcast within probably the next 2 weeks after it's live and available on Apple. But we've got a great lineup of folks that's coming in and again sharing best practices. earlier this week, what's today? Friday. Yeah, earlier this week we had IEO is our member spotlight of the week, and intelligent energy optimizers. And Yari did a great job talking about how, I mean, those guys are able to save companies up to 70% on their lighting cost. And that's significant. They, they've done major projects with, with Coca-Cola and with Kimberly-Clark and, big companies all around the Southeast. But to be able to go in, and he said he just finished up an evaluation for a company that's spending $100,000 or $99,000 a year just on their parking lot lighting. They did the evaluation, plugging the system in. Man, it was really cool because it dropped it from 99 grand to 25,000, and they do it on, I mean, the way that they've got it set up is the founder of the company is an engineer, electrical engineer, and the typical efficiencies that companies see is about 30 to 40%, reduction in power cost, but they're finding around 70% power reduction, and it's a really cool deal. So if I've teased you enough on that, I'll drop a link to the to the podcast so you can listen to it. We're doing company profiles for member spotlights. We're doing those for GMA for a select group of folks in that space. So we sit down, we'll do a 30, 40 minute one-on-one interview. We go through what it is that manufacturers, how they can benefit or what they need to know, sharing best practices that way. So the member spotlight, we're rolling those out. We've got Bo Groover. We're going to be doing that one on Thursday of next week. That's available on the events schedule. It is set up as a webinar. So we go live. There's just two of us on the thing. It's not like this. It's not a grid, but there's just two of us. But anybody that wants to can listen in and do, and write in questions. If you're available and want to plug into those, we would encourage you to, to be a part of that. But also if you're subscribed to the podcast, it'll be available on the podcast as soon as we, do the edits and kick it out, usually within the day or two of the time that we do the live call. So we're really excited about that technology. It's a whole new world for me. I like learning new things, kind of, but this has been quite the experience. But I never had it on my radar that I wanted to be a podcaster, but I am an official podcaster now, and not doing it just for me. My goal is to make sure that I add value to you and deliver the information in whatever format is most convenient for our community. And tons of people listen to podcasts every day. I think it's 48 million podcasts are downloaded a day or something insane. So, so that, again, that's the format that we're going to be plugging into. So if you're interested in that, feel free to reach out to me. It's called Member Spotlight. That's what we're working through. And the other piece that we're working through is, many of you guys know we've been writing this book. This is a hardcover coffee table book. It's called Manufacturing Success in Georgia. We are 95% done with the core content of the book. That piece is done. We're doing final edits on it now. We're going to be kicking it over to graphics to do the layouts and stuff. We do have some companies that have stepped up and they wanted to include their company profile and their history in the book as well. Kia got a 6-page profile. Gulfstream got a 6-page profile. Daniel Defense, I think they got 4. Southwire participated as well. We do have a couple slots open for companies that would like to be alongside those companies in this book. Again, it is a beautiful hardcover book that we're going to be rolling out, and the executives of all those major companies are going to be getting copies of those books. I mean, this is a keepsake. This is again, it's an oversized, like a 9x12 hardcover. But we're getting really, really close on that. So if you go to the website, there's a tab that says the book, and it's got all the details of what that looks like. You can pre-order the books right now. They'll be out soon. So it's probably going to be September, October timeline. We're still fleshing that out, trying to get everything nailed down with the printer. So that is an opportunity again to plug in. That's just another tool to be able to do that. So the last thing I'd like to leave you with is just leadership tip of the day. As you guys know, if you know me, you've been hanging around me at all for any time, I'm an avid reader. And one of the things, I'm an avid listener. I read a lot too. I just read slow. So I listen a lot with Audible. But there's a book, and we're really digging in. This is a cool tool to use. It's called Building the Story Brand. Building a Story Brand by Don Miller. I've had this book for about 2 years over in my bookcase. A good friend passed it to me. I just hadn't had a chance to dig into it. But as we were developing the podcast series and finding new ways to engage our community, I asked Nathan to come in and sit with me and give me some insights on the podcast world and how best to manage that. And the first thing he said, man, you need to dig into this story brand. I personally am a little long-winded already, as you might have already figured that out. So I'm like, man, Lord, I don't need to make anything any longer. And that's part of the reason that it sat over in the corner for 2 years. But the content on here, I mean, it can really help you get more succinct in your communication and get your message to the right people and position it in such a way that they'll be able to remember it. You know, written in a good book long time ago, you know, we've been telling stories, and that's how people remember things. We've been telling stories since the dawn of man, right? You know, and that's how people remember things. And if you can position your company and your brand in a story format, and you can do it really, really short, you can make it as elaborate as you want to as well, but this gives you the foundation to be able to be very effective in all your communication. Some of you guys know I did a comedy thing, a stand-up comedy thing. That was the toughest thing I'd ever done in businesses. I thought I was just going to go learn how to, you know, tell a few jokes and that sort of thing. But that 6-week class that I went through to do the stand-up was one of the toughest things in the world that I ever had to do in communication, because you had to be so succinct with every word. It changed the game for me in communication forever. And this goes along with that to allow you in business, no matter what your business is. I'd encourage you to take a look at this. Again, I'll include this in the show notes and the email that we'll do as a follow-up. All right, with that, guys, it has been wonderful. I'm on just really, really quick, 2 seconds. What was your favorite part, Roger? Favorite part about today?
Well, actually, the favorite part wasn't all that public, because I've talked to somebody here who might help me with the project.
Fantastic. That's beautiful. I love that. Chris, what's your favorite part about today?
Actually, I liked your. I'm kind of interested in this Donald Miller book. So you got me something next on my reading list. So I appreciate that.
Cool. I'll put you a link to it shortly. Thanks. Andrew, what's your favorite part about today?
Being able to see and talk to all of you.
Sweet. Love it. Raymer.
Hey, we got to socialize some today, and I also enjoyed learning what other people had the experiences they'd had during this COVID event.
Love it. Love it. Debbie, favorite part about today?
Loved hearing everybody's most fascinating or interesting stories through COVID.
Sweet. All right. Mr. Henry, what you got?
Seeing everybody's shining face and hearing them say some good things. It was very great.
Sweet. Todd, what you got? What's your favorite part about today?
I think it's good to see some new faces. Andrea, Kirk, welcome. Thanks for coming to the group.
Beautiful. Mr. Don, what you got? What's your favorite part?
Just hearing about what everybody does and thinking about how we can all work together more.
Sweet. Love it. All right. Mr. Paul, what's your favorite part?
Yeah, I'm going to echo what Todd said. Really enjoy meeting some new folks, and look forward to following up with you all to just get to know you a little bit better.
Sweet. Rob, what you got? What's your favorite part?
I'm enjoying the weather. It's a beautiful morning.
I love it. You dog. That's not even funny. Thanks, buddy. All right, Kirk, this is your first call, man. What's your favorite part about today?
Oh, just meeting everybody. I enjoyed it and hearing the stories, and it was very nice. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, guys, I really appreciate it. I will give you one last tip. If you want to go over in the chat section, over to the far right side at the very bottom, there's 3 little dots that says more. If you click on that, you can click Save Chat. And what that does is that saves all of the information and all of the contacts everything that you wrote in there. That allows you to keep a copy of that as well. So click Save Chat if you want to keep that information. And I would challenge each of you guys and gals to schedule coffee, schedule a Zoom call. This should be the first part of your networking for the week, for this month on using GMA. But schedule a coffee to find out, to be able to dig in a little deeper and find out something more and how you can be a referral source and a good partner for somebody else. Not to sell them, but to see what it is that they do, to learn more, so how you can be again a good referral source for them. With that, it's been another great day at GMA. Thank you all for being a part. We'll look forward. Oh, got one last thing. Everybody look this way. Smile. Hold on a second. Man, I've been like out of the groove here. I got some catch up here to do. Everybody look. Smile. Hold on. Smile, smile. Smile and wave. Kirk, there you go. Chris, wave. Nice. Beautiful. Good looking crowd. All right, guys. You guys have a great one. We'll talk on the next, look forward to seeing you on the next call. And hopefully you can join us on Thursday. Take care.
Have a great weekend.
All right, you too. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Take care.
See ya.